Cause it's time to move on now. It's time for murder moves.
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
Hey, you guys.
Rod
What's
showed
up?
up today, and I was doing this.
He was having what we call a fart rave. It's the kinkiest of raves where, like, instead of like EDM, they play farts continuously. And
So-
you know what?
Over the weekend, I was a DJ. I was DJ Josh WRB, and I actually brought my Stream Deck, and I had the part on there as well. I had to. Like, I loaded up my Stream Deck to my laptop, and I put, like, you know, the sounds on there and stuff, because all that, like, exists in the voice mod. So I was an actual fucking DJ and sound guy on Friday for HorrorCon Calgary, because I was the tech guy. I was filling in, and double duty. I also did the photo booth for the celebrities. So when I was DJing, I was also creating a web page so people could sign up for the digital print, so I could get their information, so I knew their, you know, who was who and their email.
Yeah.
So at the same time as DJing, I was legitimately creating a web page. Like, I call that ADHD for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because you sit there and you talk about that. And real quick, I'm Rod. He's
Oh, yes.
Josh. We are Murder Moose Podcast, part of the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Also, I was going to tell you, Josh, because I've been talking about it. Our new updated logo for episode 100 is, we've been talking about it. So the movie, just because we've done 100 episodes and like changing logo and doing a little update, it's going to be cool, and it's going to include something that Josh and I both, you know, hold
Oh my
dear to ourselves in this podcast. And Jen's doing it, who did the original logo, so it'll be in spirit of the original. And I'm excited because it's just a cool thing to do and updated, and like the potential for cool shit with the moose is also dope.
I'm
One,
just excited. Yeah.
two, Katie Peters keeps saying she wants to be on, so we have to figure that out with her in the near future. So we have to find a shark movie or something. I mean, we're 3 for 3 with shark movies with her, so it's going to go down that route at some point. But we're going to keep.
There is a new one that came out that actually has, again, I judge all shark movies by their cover, and that one is the best, like, poster I've seen in a long time.
Sharks of the Corn had an awesome poster too, though.
Yeah, well, we have something that we have a bar for the worst movie now. So, like, if we're gonna take anything out of it, take fucking that, right? So whatever. It's called Shark Bait anyway. So hoo ha ha. Let's go and watch it.
Hoo ha ha. Okay. Well, you know, it's funny. My buddy Dr. Claw, who was one of the other one who told me to watch Mad God, was saying he listened to our episode, and I think our ADHD kind of drove him crazy last week. And I was like, you know, we're usually pretty ADHD, but that movie was so incredibly hard to talk about. And I like talking for a certain length of time that it kind of bounced around more than usual. But
it's because you weren't fucking paying attention to the movie at all, and because there was no, like, you know, 3-story act, like, for us to, like, follow and kind of that. I think that's what structures our show. We have, like, a 3-tier or 3-story arc, whatever. Yeah, the beginning, middle, and end of our episodes. The beginning is us kind of shooting the shit. What we did this week. My week was fucking crazy. The weekend was not so. There's a whole bunch of rad horror celebrities. And then Jeff Daniels, Jeff Daniels and Richard Brake from all, like, Rob Zombie movies, but the Munsters and stuff. He was rocking the Munsters hat and everything. He comes up the second day and he's just like, "Oh, come on up and you grab a picture with us." I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, no problem." And he's like, "Hey, wait a minute, aren't you the DJ?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck." Oh, fuck.
Now you need some kind of you know what you're gonna need instead of like marshmallow. You're gonna need like a moose helmet. Like you're gonna be like dead mouse, but with a moose helmet, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be like that.
Dude, it
Oh
was
man.
I wish you fucking could have come up, man. There was some like there was really good times,
Yeah.
awesome booths as usual, but like, you know, I 3 years ago, the last time this happened, whatever, I was the panelist and that's what I thought I was going to be again this year. But I think
Yeah.
this was even better because like you do a panel, you get to know like one or two celebrities on like a more personal level, and they see you like,
Yeah.
oh, you're asking the questions. It would have been really good content for like an episode of the show to curate a panel and do that. But like because I was doing the photo booth, I got to know every single celebrity that came like a little bit, and I feel like just because there was that connection, there definitely would have been potential for a few of them would have been interested 100% to sit down and do a little
Yeah.
interview for the show for sure. So next time, let's make a point for you to come up
Oh yeah.
and like and we'll
I'm
just
definitely
have a
down.
really good time.
Yeah, well, we both know what really happened, and it sucks for both of us. And it's just like, but shit happens,
Whatever.
man. But there are other reasons why it's probably better financially for me right now
Yeah,
that I
for
didn't.
sure.
So there's like a lot going on, but yeah,
Well, let's do like a
it's
Patreon or something next time to like see if people can help you out getting up
yeah.
here as well or something, right?
Yeah. Well, we gotta I was figuring we've had a Patreon for the beginning, but it would never really anything into it. So next what I'm thinking is we'll start talking soon about like relaunching it towards like episode 100. I think because we got to do more stuff towards episode 100, and we'll try to nail down some of those finer details for that. And I think because we'll probably have to do at least one bonus episode a month, and if not, it will be like releasing episodes like a day early for Patreon or something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
because like we don't have, I mean, there's only a 2 day gap between when we record most of the time and put episodes out, so that's can't be like a
Right.
huge thing, but yeah. Um, okay, Josh, you did all that stuff with the HorrorCon. You had your dope fucking weekend. There's a lot of stuff I don't know if you could talk about, but you got some cool stuff in the
I
pipeline
can't
with your
talk about anything, and
yeah,
it's exciting stuff. Like
yeah,
I've been I've been getting to do a lot of really really fun things lately,
yeah,
and I'm my ability, like you've seen my I don't know, like my arc of like just figuring out life and happiness coming,
yeah,
and like the rest will come once you're ready for it. And I feel like
yeah,
it's time. I'm ready. Things are
yeah,
clicking. I'm getting to do really, really cool things that I'm not even allowed to talk about. And that's fucking cool too, because it
yeah.
makes it even cooler because it's, I don't know, like
It's just
eventually I
it's
will be able to talk about it, but you know,
you got just a immense talent, so it's cool that that immense talent is paying off in like multiple ways because you're a dope ass motherfucker, Josh. You are. You're sexy, and you do some really cool shit. Um,
I love you, man.
I love you. I was gonna say a couple things. I did. Are you all caught up on the boys?
Mm-mm.
Man, they had the Hero Gasm episode came out last week,
I
and
know
that shit was
everyone's been talking
wild.
about it.
And so this whole season's been wild. I'm enjoying it. It's weird seeing like Huey from The Boys as like the guy in Scream, which is still odd, but
Oh,
it's
right.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, my wife and I also just binge watched the entire third season of Umbrella Academy,
Oh, nice.
which I like that show a lot. It's weird
Yeah.
and they do lots of it reminded me like because it has a lot of similarities with like Loki, right? Like the whole like time
Okay.
traveling commission and shit like that, end of the world stuff. It like has that ringing like true, and it like kind of seems like to me if the boys and Loki, the TV show, fucked, Umbrella Academy would kind of be the results of it. Like it has a lot of similarities in both of those. But I enjoyed the third season. It was weird and wonky and everything like that. What else? I finished up second season 2 of Barry. And that
Oh,
show
you
is
did?
yeah, I gotta start the third season. I haven't had any
Dude,
time.
season 2 is fucking so good though, hey?
Yeah, it's just man, that show is just like
It's so easy
it
to
can.
binge because it's so short.
Yeah, you get like you can watch a whole season in about 4 hours, right? Because they're
Yep.
like 8 3 30-minute episodes. I'm enjoying the shit out of that show. That show is just like I've said it before. I think I said last week. The show reminds me a lot of Dexter in ways, but like
Yep.
more positively, like it, because Dexter as a character just feels like a weird, like one note, like excuse for like a good guy to kill people. And
Yep.
Barry doesn't feel like that. Barry feels more like a kind of realistic situation of someone who's kind of broken because of war, right? And because
Yep.
of what happened because of war. And I'm really enjoying it. So the third season is going to be coming up. So,
Oh,
um,
dude, it gets so much better. Like
yeah,
because he directs a lot of the episodes in the third season too. So I feel like
yeah,
him as a because he came up with the concept of the show. He's uh, it, I think he should be more like involved in the like actual creative process because he really understands what he wants for that character
yeah,
and the choices of like lenses and how they choose to like show the visual storytelling to land like really like scary parts, but then
yeah,
also this they use the same techniques to land like really long-winded jokes and they work
yeah,
the same for both. It's so
yeah.
it's
Well,
just so fucking well done.
it's that connection we talk about it. I mean, we've talked about it on here more than once. Like the connection of horror and comedy are very, very similar because of timing and stuff like that. Those elements that like that's why like Danny McBride and Jordan Peele, all
Jordan
these guys who
Peele.
had who had that comedy background are able to go in there and build off that comedy background
Nope
and do
looks
that thing.
so good. Like
Yeah,
the larger trailers really give you a sense that the movie's going to be like fun. Not
yeah,
just like suspenseful or creepy, but like actually a fun ride as well,
yeah.
it looks like. Yeah.
I mean, the trailer, like the trailer, the main trailer that's going around and like playing before movies now with the even like the fucking title drop where it drops it in from the top and the like in that weird order that like
Yeah.
no, is it? I mean, it looks like a spaceship. I mean, we're pretty sure it's a fucking alien invasion movie, right? But like, you can do a really. I mean, again,
Have you not
it,
seen the longer trailer?
dude, I avoid trailers if I can now. The only movies I watch
Well,
trailers for are Marvel movies most of the
I
time.
think it played before the Black Phone in Canada, at least. I don't know what trailer package you
I
got.
watched the one of them, the one that has like I think it's like the long, like the full trailer that they've been showing, but like that even has stuff like I think they're doing shit in that trailer to fuck with you on purpose, which I appreciate. Like the crab and like
It
the
just looks
like
fun. It looks
yeah,
really fun. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like shit, dude. I hadn't watched a trailer for Black Phone, I don't think since like that what did the first trailers of that movie start coming out in like
Dude,
2020 or something like
I
that? Or
know exactly. But
and
like
I
I
hadn't
did this
seen it for some
poster
yeah,
and it was before I saw the movie and
yeah,
I I saw a couple different posters, and I think one might have had something similar, but I think like I kind of nailed the whole movie in one poster. And Blumhouse Productions commented on my poster and was like, "That's awesome." I'm like,
yeah,
"This isn't like licensed or anything," and the production
yeah,
company itself is is
yeah.
saying awesome. So
Yeah, dude. Blumhouse is a weird little world, right? They're like they're like the more like I think them and A24 are the big players in horror right now, right? And like they do more like I feel like the Blumhouse does more stuff like horror fanatics slash like the casual horror audience, right? And then A24 does that like higher tier horror, the elevated horror that we've been talking about all
yeah.
year because of Scream. But
Yeah,
like
but I feel like this kinda goes into that, uh, kind of more
I
elevated horror, but it's
yeah,
almost like a CSI episode, to be honest. Like, it's more
yeah,
about
it's well,
like, the
let's
cop mystery, murder
yeah.
mystery.
Let's dive into it, man. Because yes, we are talking about Black Phone, which just released on Friday. So like a little less than a week a little less than a week before you're hearing this, if you're listening when it comes out. Um, Directed by Scott Derickson, who's I mean known for things like Sinister and The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is I think his first thing I ever saw him do, and written by Joe Hill, who is a short story by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. because Stephen King isn't his real name, but Joe Hill. I don't know what is it. Is his first name Stephen? Is his real name Stephen Hill? I'm not sure, but um, and I saw like the screenplay was by the guy on Twitter knows Massa Worm, which I think is Robert Cargill is his real name. But I guess he's been on Twitter for a long time as that, and this was his first script. Was it? Was it what I was getting from everything? Um, C. Robert Cargill, who I guess his writer credits. Yeah, he wrote Sinister. Okay, so him and
Sinister is
uh,
so fucking good, man.
dude,
It was
Sinister is
like
such.
it was the first movie that legitimately fucking creeped me out. Like in movies,
Yeah,
like it's all about aesthetic. And that
yeah,
movie had it in so many different ways done so well. Like it came out close to around the time that like VHS was doing stuff kind of right as well. Like
yeah, yeah. It
giving
came out in 2012.
yeah, so like uh seeing the same sort of thing where it was found and then you
Yeah,
watch it and you don't know what you're gonna watch and then it's on the film and it's got that creep factor and like
yeah,
the it's that look and that aesthetic of a monster that's kind of like just creepy face, more like
yeah,
blacked out or something, and it's just
yeah,
that creeps me out more than anything else. Like the shadow figure or something is so much creepier than anything else to me. I don't know why.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
you
It's
don't know.
that movie gets talked about all the time as like one of the scariest movies ever, and it is definitely. I think that I don't get scared in like movies very often, but Sinister will always be one of those movies that creep me the fuck out. Like not
Yeah.
scared, but creep me out.
Creeps.
Um,
Yeah. Oh,
and
it's just like, oh fuck, yeah, that's creepy.
dude, the fucking murdering children is just like is horrifying as always. It's why like so many movies have like scary fucking kids, right?
Mm.
And that movie just ends, and it's like it's dark as fuck. It's still one of the darkest horror movies. Like I think really they're like I mean they make darker horror movies. People just do dark shit just to do dark shit, and that movie isn't. It's like it's got a point. I even like the second one. It wasn't great, but I like the second one. Um, but man, like that movie was such a it was like one of those it was that movie that brought Scott Derrickson's name onto my radar, even though I'd seen Emily Rose. But like
Right.
Emily Rose is one of those movies that it's really good, but it's like it's a exorcism movie, right? It's not anything that's like it's not anything that like it's really well done, but like
It kind of fits right into the pack, and
yeah,
nothing in that kind of genre stands out other than Paranormal Activity to me, and maybe
yeah. I
like
mean,
The Conjuring or something. You know, like
I think the problem is with that, like with everything in that vein, you're always comparing it to The Exorcism, right? Like The Exorcist.
mhm.
It's like that's all you can compare it to, no matter what, because that movie is such a, that's not even just a horror movie. That's a cinema masterpiece that like that movie never scared the
The
shit out of me.
bar literally was set up here,
Yeah,
and anyone else doing an exorcism movie
yeah,
is never gonna fucking get up to that
yeah,
bar.
yeah,
No one, I don't know any movie or anything exorcist wise. Honestly, like, say what you will about The Conjuring, it was fucking well done. And
yep.
it's not straight up like Exorcist movie. Well, I guess it kind of is. I'd say that's probably the closest one movie, not the second one,
Mhm.
or any of its fucking franchise that it's created.
Yeah,
None of those or whatever. Like the first one was so good that it created a fucking Marvel franchise of its own. Like you got to
yeah,
give it fucking props where props are deserved, because The
yeah,
Conjuring had so many legs that it create like seriously, how many movies has it created, and like sequels to the
yeah.
sub
I mean,
movies. Fuck.
it's this whole thing where like you have such a fucking like it's a fucking franchise and you say or cinematic universe that has some fucking stinkers in it. Like The Nun is literally one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It just
it was
it
bad.
because it has the thing where it's the same cardinal sin that the fucking Sparks of the Corn had. It's boring.
Yes.
Boring is the worst thing you could be in a horror in any movie. Like any movie that's boring, just it just is the worst. Like a bad entertaining movie like that you're laughing at because all preferable every single time. That's why the things like The Room and Trolls 2 have such a cult following because the movies are terrible, but
They
they're
were trying
fun.
so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, they're trying so hard, failing miserably, but trying
But
so hard.
out of the love, just because they don't know anything technically of how movies are actually made,
Yeah.
you can tell they love movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they tried, but they just don't have the package.
Yeah.
They don't know
Okay.
how to cup the balls.
You always cup the balls. You want them to have support, and then you just tickle the taint. You just tickle it. You just tickle
Man,
it.
I do set you up sometimes for you to go down that rabbit hole, don't I?
You too, man. You just like you throw a fucking softball on the side of the plate, and I'm like, "Go home run with the fucking home run, with a fucking home run."
I'm like, hey, look it, there's the door, there's Alice's, there's one, there's Wonderland. Go for it, Rod.
Go down it, and then Rod's talking about eating ass out of nowhere, and here we are. And here we are.
I knew it was coming. Oh my god.
Okay.
Clown Dick is back.
God damn it. Berserker was talking about you calling me clown dick again. And your fucking sound him and Nine were talking about how you have like the sound effect for me for fucking clown dick. Okay, a couple things that I want to talk about. We're not gonna spoil this movie right away until we get into it. God damn it, Josh. Josh is on the
Dude,
fucking roll.
wait. Look, check out the new shirt I got. I love it.
I'll swallow your soul. Oh yes, Evil Dead 2. Yes, it is. That was how Bruce got into autoerotic asphyxiation. Like that's how he's really coming on that shirt. That's why his face is like that. He's not like trying to die. This is him going. Oh, that's Bruce's vinegar face right there. That's his vinegar face. There we are. There we are.
I rewatched it today as I was working on something, and I just got this at the con, right? So I had to put it on. Then I put on Army of Darkness as well. Made it a whole Ash Tuesday, and it was fucking fantastic, man. I haven't put like a movie up on that. Like I got a TV on the other side of the room that I used to put shit on all the time, and today I wanted to be in that mood with those movies, and holy fuck, was it like it was refreshing, man. It just like it's something that you know and love. You've seen a million times, so you don't have to give it your attention. But there's something to be said about like looking up and seeing your favorite part of one of your favorite movies just playing and then going, oh, and getting that feeling again. It just like it made the whole day just fly by, man. It was cool.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, I wanted we're not spoiling anything. We'll warn you before we spoil because this just came out. One, Tom Savini fucking killed it with those masks, man. That's what I say, like as like a first off thing. I have a couple things, but that is a first off thing, and I don't want to forget about it because I think I saw someone on Twitter point that out, and I'm like, holy shit! I think it was one of the guys from Bloody Disgusting was tweeting about it, and it's seeing Tom Savini's name in a major horror movie. The fucking design of this film, again, it's another. This film takes place in 1978, and it takes place right here, motherfucker, except north of me. It's more where like Zeke and Katie live, like North Denver. But the another movie that is like set in that time frame and uses it to refer to Texas Chainsaw Massacre because we're 4 years out from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Tom Savini has been doing really cool shit with masks lately. Like there was a WWE wrestler who hasn't been wrestling now for like over a year because he went out and made a horror movie. His name was his WWE name was Bray Wyatt, and then they called him the Fiend, and he was like a supernatural kind of character. And Tom Savini made a mask for him, and it very much reminded me of like when the Joker cut his face off and then like like stapled it back on, kind of like that. Kind of reminded me of like that kind of look. And it was a really cool thing, but you just seen him do this different stuff. And the man who's been doing like these like iconic horror things for 50 years at this point, right? Like a really long time. And you're sitting there going, this motherfucker, man, is never stopped being talented. And it's just like a name that I assume that most people outside of the horror community have never heard who the fuck he is, even though he's I mean, what has Tom Savini done that a non-horror fanatic would know about? Like nothing, right? Because everything is so self-contained in that environment, right? Like things like from our Wow. Dusk.
From Dusk Till
Wow.
Dawn, but
Not
like
from Dusk Till Dawn. I'm referring to. I'm talking to. God damn.
yeah, but
The
I'm like
zombie
a
movie in the
I'm a
mall. The one where you're
huge
having a
what?
brain fart.
I
The
have no clue.
the zombie
I don't
movie in
know.
the mall that George Romero made. What the fuck? Why is
Dawn
my
of the
brain?
Dead?
Dawn of the Dead. I couldn't think of the name. Wow. My
What?
brain is.
So like that's like my all-time favorite zombie movie, Dawn of the Dead. And that poster too. It's just like
Yeah.
it's so simple. It's one of those posters that I saw and it made me love zombies for some reason. Just the poster. Posters are the
Yeah.
thing. Like I just watched this documentary last night called 24 by 36. It's all about the like history of posters and movie posters
Mhm.
and how it used to be like an art form in itself and now like America, like Hollywood and the actors have like the producers have too much like pull on what goes on it and because the 90s switched from like actual art to just a face or two
Yeah.
faces or a floating head or two of the
Yeah.
main actors and it's worked to get people in seats because oh that person's in the movie I like them I'll go see that. It doesn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with like visual storytelling anymore and like there's no like illustrated posters like there used to be back in the day like
Yeah.
it sucks, right? So for
Yeah.
me to be in this world and to do the types of posters that I do, I'm liking like genre splicing in the stuff
Yeah.
that I do and trying to do that visual storytelling aspect that I love and miss from it. This one, I feel like I don't know. It says everything in the poster and that's
Yeah.
but not if you haven't it's not overly spoilery either. Well, maybe
No,
kind of.
it's not. I mean, not. I mean, kind of. The thing that you nailed with it that like you won't understand until you seen it. It is very, very. It's you nailed it. You like you hit the nail on the head. But like, it's not something that would spoil anything of the film, and you kind of called something really unique, which I find entertaining. But
I
yeah, it's
I did I just I
yeah,
used some assets repeatedly on my posters and I just thought it was missing the blood aspect and missing some
yeah,
other things. So I just like put assets that I've used in the last like 3 posters, but you can't even
yeah,
tell it's the same asset. And it is kind of like again, like what that the director said it's I use that word. I don't know, like of things to come.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do that somehow without even seeing movies as well. So
It's yeah, it's funny because my, wife will going into it not knowing anything about it, and, like I said, I hadn't watched anything that first trailer, like, the teaser trailer that came out, whatever, in 2020 or whatever, early 2021,
yeah.
and that w the I mean, when you see Scott Derickson, Ethan Hawke, and you go, "Okay, I don't there's nothing, like" you don't have to throw any more fucking, like, the reason for me to watch it, um I had to say the second thing I wanted to bring up because one of my favorite parts to this movie, the fucking not the main character of this movie, but one of the like one of the secondary characters, main secondary characters,
Gwen
Madeline
needs yeah,
McGraw.
she needs an Oscar. She needs an Oscar for
Yeah,
this.
dude,
She's fucking
she is
great.
so fucking. She's really fucking fantastic, and you know what character she reminds me of? She reminds me of the girl from Psycho
Psycho Gorman?
Gorman because
Yep,
Psycho Gorman
100%.
because it's that like that sassy I don't give a fuck kind of thing that is
I was
just
thinking the
so
exact same. You and
yeah
I are like right on the same fucking page, man.
yeah.
It's crazy.
And she fucking every scene she's in is like, and she goes through like sassy, like funny, and like heartbreaking, and all these things in like this movie, and fucking sells it. And how old is this girl? Because she
She's
fucking nails it. She's born in 2008. Jesus
she's so
Christ!
good, man. She's
Yeah,
gonna be no, I think she deserves to be recognized for this movie
dude, she's
because
real good. Like, Mason Thomas plays Finney, who's the main character of the film.
he
He
looks
does a
so
really
much like fucking Ethan Hawke. It's crazy.
You know who he when I first saw trailers for this, you know who I thought he was? I kid you fucking not. I thought he was 11. I thought it was
Oh,
what
really?
yeah, because that curly hair. They got that like that real curly hair, and you don't see his like face really much in those trailers. I was like, oh wait, oh no, that's not a girl. That's like just that's because it takes place in 1978, so you have longer hair and shit like that. But man, he does a really good job too, though. Um,
I'll read the synopsis so we'll
okay.
actually get into it. All right. This is the Black Phone. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. So honestly, it's right in the synopsis. The poster is not a spoiler. The synopsis is a spoiler. And the poster is just telling of the synopsis.
No, I meant more of
I know. Shut up. Whatever.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
read.
yeah. With the phone too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's a different phone. I was just looking for an
Yeah.
aesthetic way to position it, not knowing what the movie or how the movie goes or anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
just, it is quite telling of. Okay.
I have to wonder though, and I was thinking about this while I was watching it. How many? I'm gonna Google this as we're talking. How many masks are in the Black
I think it's
Phone?
only like 3
No, there's at least 5.
because he takes the top off of one of them. There's like a smiling one,
It's
a
those are all
sad
different
one,
masks. Those
and
are all
then
different masks.
yeah, I know that would be 3: smiling, not smiling, and then blank.
Blank, and then the top half mask.
Yeah, but that's just the same
It
mask, and it comes apart
it doesn't does it? I don't know.
because you can see that there's like a crease.
Oh, maybe yeah. So it's I was trying to figure out how many different masks he used, but like that's why I brought up.
It's probably just the same top, and then the bottoms are interchangeable.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't even notice that until you said it, but it's it's such a creepy look, and it's such a unique like the this the grabber is the name of the villain in the movie, which is Ethan Hawke, because like we're not giving anything away there because you see Ethan Hawke on the regular poster. Like this is what I talk about though. Like what you just talked about to go into the posters. This film's poster is minimalistic, and all it is selling
Ethan Hawke. Yes.
Yeah, it's selling Ethan Hawke's as the fucking villain. All it is him with the fucking mask on, which is incredibly creepy. It's got you get a little hint of the black hat he wears. But man, it's a vibe of it's one of those things where you have a horror character who is like that has that grounded in like reality kind of thing, right? But it's got that like still incredibly creepy, even though it is grounded in reality, right? It's not a supernatural thing. And this movie has that hints of supernatural, but the supernatural are more linked to the calls, right? The phone calls coming through this phone. But it is such a like perfect thing of what childhood, like what's scary and horrifying about childhood, right? Like it's that world where you don't feel seen by adults, and the only time that like anyone starts caring or noticing kids is when things start happening, right? People start disappearing. Um and they just have that tension. Like I feel like that's like I was talking about this afterward, like the watching it with my wife. I'm like, it's such a perfect age range, like that 13 to like 15, like that thing where you're a kid, but you're not a little kid anymore, but you're still like nobody pays attention to you. You're a little kid, like I'm saying. And you just target that age. I think he's supposed to be 13 in the movie, Finney. I've heard the name Finn plenty of times, like Adventure Time. That's the main character's name is Finn, isn't it? But like Finney is such an interesting name, and they use it to fuck with this kid, like the bullies do, right? Like this kid the film is broken up into like kind of 3 acts, right? And that first act is very much like establishing the world and like kind of the shit show that's happening. The
And
grabber, what he's
like
doing.
their shitty upbringing with an alcoholic father and like abuse and
Oh
how
yeah.
much like just sheer the visceral violence in this
Yeah.
movie and like how turned up the sound is when people are
Yeah.
getting beaten up is like
Yeah.
holy shit. It is violent.
Yeah.
You feel the violence.
Dude, I think I looked away at the there's a fight scene fairly early on in the movie that I'm like I was like looking away because it feels like
Yeah, you feel
it
it.
yeah, and you're like because the sound like you're talking about, but
They
like
make it uncomfortable for you for sure.
yeah, it's that thing where Scott like he Derickson does this thing where he's like he uses violence to make you feel uncomfortable, not just for the shits of it, right? Like, and which is so good because like horror often like people misuse violence just because it's a horror movie, so we're gonna like chop off 20 heads and like cut some motherfuckers. But like he uses this in this film where it's like I don't even think like the most uncomfortable violence in this movie doesn't come from the grabber. It comes from other characters in the film, and you're just like, fuck. And it's that it's very heartbreaking at times, and it's like I have this feeling that like at the end of this like movie, like things happen, and then I feel like certain things are gonna just go back to normal, even though they're trying to sell you that they aren't. And man, I'm sitting there going, this is it's just that dark world, man. It's that dark world of where I mean, we're living in the fucking like we're living in some fucked up times right now where mankind is, especially my stupid fucking country, where mankind is. You just see the real fucking villains and all these things as the worst fucking enemy, and this a whole movie is like that. It's like it's another movie where yeah, mankind is the problem here. This character is just a man who's doing fucked up shit, right? Um,
That's why I said this movie kind of almost reminds me more of like an episode of like Dexter or something too. Like it's not uh, they make the other things horrific and the
yeah,
stuff that's happening or like what you're used to seeing like obviously this storyline is super uncomfortable. Anytime anything to do with kids is
yeah,
involved,
yeah,
it's so like sadistic and just
yeah,
disturbing. But it's not it hides itself in more of like a thriller murder mystery, like a Batman or just like an
yeah,
episode of CSI or so. I always go back to like anytime there's anything to do with cops and they're trying to figure out the case, I just go straight to it's just another episode of CSI to me. For some
yeah,
reason, this one didn't overly feel like that, but I still that's my auto reflex thing. It
yeah.
it was a murder mystery and but because the girl from uh Psycho Gorman essentially went especially
Yeah.
that scene where she's like, "Hey God, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
or "Hey Jesus, what the fuck?"
That scene and the other one that really reminded me of her was the when she's in the she's like in the principal's office or the
Yeah.
guidance
Oh,
counselor's office and she's like, "You fucking morons," or whatever she
to
says.
the
And I'm just
cops, like,
like,
"Fuck
yeah,
you guys, do your fucking
she's
job." She's so good.
yes. She fucking kills
I
it, man.
clapped. I was clapping at that part.
I
I
was
was,
like
"You're so
laughed out
good."
loud. I was like, I would fucking love it. Um, yeah, it's a like you know what? There's a we're gonna go back to Bob's Burgers because it also there's an episode of Bob's Burgers where Linda starts thinking she's psychic because she does a bunch of like silly predictions in a row and she's sitting there going like to channel her psychic powers. And that's kind of what like a lot of this kind of reminds me of because the cop in that is like, okay, you gotta tell me what to do and what are this and it's just but it's a comedy in Bob's Burgers. Um, it gave me,
What are you talking about? This movie's a comedy.
I mean, only when,
I'm
what do you call
totally
it?
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
No, no, you're not. You're not. Also, by the way, and I just remembered because of IMDb, I did watch Beavis and Butthead this weekend,
Oh, so
and
did I. It's so good.
dude, it's
It's
and
so good, dude.
we watched it Sunday morning, and then I went to went to Sam's Club and had to make nachos because
When they're
because-
making it rain, nachos. There's
Yes.
so many perfect, like just I'm so happy it came out when it did. It was so fucking needed in this
another
day and
time
age.
travel- another time travel thing too.
But it is so well done and
Yep.
so Beavis and Butthead and unapologetically Beavis and Butthead through
Yep.
and through, and it is perfect. It is 100% fucking perfect.
And no Beavis has ever scored on any time. Go watch Beavis and Butthead on Paramount because it's fucking wonderful.
It is
wonderful.
fucking perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. I saw Jerry tweeting about it, and then he hadn't laughed.
I
like
told
that.
you about it. I was like, dude, it is
I
the
know.
best.
Well, I know. I saw Jerry tweeting about it after I watched it, Josh. I watched it because you were telling me how good it was.
Well, good. I'm
I-
glad.
Another thing this movie does, like the casting is fucking great. Like the adults are all good, the kids are all good. The kids are really good. Like they have a bunch of really good little actors in this film.
Especially like his buddy who is like
Robin.
the badass.
Robin is fucking
Oh,
a dope kid, man. And like oh man, it's just like, damn, that kid is such a fucking little tough ass, and I love it.
you get introduced to him in that scene right at the beginning of the movie where Rod had to look away because he's the smaller of the two in the fight, and he's so badass he just destroys the other kid and
Right.
doesn't stop, and that's what makes it really uncomfortable because he's already like not even able to tap out because he's down and out.
I also noticed the thing, and there's a pattern, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Josh. These movies, like in the last couple of years, have had horror movies with like these little gangs of kids, and there's always a ginger kid in the gang of the little fucked up ones. Like,
Oh
have you noticed that? Because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
this one movie, Halloween Kills. There's a little ginger family that's fucking with people, and then there's like, I mean, I even like the fucking kids from It, right? Like there's there's always evil ginger kids in these things, and I'm like, all I could ever think of is South Park, and like they have no soul, so it's just like, yeah, oh man,
You could be right. I don't know though. But
I have to wonder though, because
this shirt
Scott
will swallow your soul though.
It will. So Scott Derickson was born in 1966. Like this is like he wrote this like the same time as he grew up, right? Because he would have been in 78, would have been 12. So just that same kind of time frame, and used the location of Denver isn't like that relevant. Besides, it's like you see the mountains and shit like that, but. I like that he like, and you see houses like that all around Denver. So like he did a good job of like all that stuff. I wonder where he fucking shot this film actually, but and
Right down the
that's-
street from your house.
I wish I would have been running around the background going.
Dude, I'm so happy that Fargo is coming back. Like, have you watched any of the Fargo seasons? They're so good. But if you want to see where I live, the first 3 seasons, especially the first season, is literally I walk around my neighborhood and I'll be like, yeah, there's there, and that was in season 2,
Yeah.
that was season 1, that was the cop shop. Down the street from there was this scene. Down the street from there was that scene. Over here was that scene. Like, but I guess my whole city has been used and used and used for the Last of Us has been shutting down so many crazy places in the city, and then like just up the street from my house for like over a week, the complete exit from like an overpass, like the full underpass, was completely barricaded off. Cops everywhere. I couldn't get out of my fucking neighborhood for over a week because of The Last of Us. Fuck.
Yo, hey, it's okay, we're getting a lot of money, for the thing. So you're fucked, we'll get sending some Timmy Hortons, down there.
I don't know. I'm just like, what the hell? How do you block off all 4 lanes? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
That's how money.
I guess, yeah.
Lots of loonies. The
Yep.
loony's like your dollar, right? The loony.
Yep.
I still love the urban legend that you guys had maple syrup scented money. That was they said it was wrong, but
Well,
yeah.
no, in Alberta, the loonies smell like vagina because like I don't know if they still do
Strippers put
this.
them in their
Like
vajayjays.
they, the posters that they have for their like show or whatever, they would
Yeah.
put it in like a thing like that and like put it like that, and you would throw it, and people would like throw it at them really hard, and so I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like this is already
There's
like crazy as is, but like what the hell?
there's a
Like,
reason 982 why I've never been into a strip club in real life that's actually running. I wandered into one in Germany when I was 17, but it was like their lunch break when we were wandering around in Germany because we were 17 and we were wandering around and like titties, and there were no titties because it was
I've
the
I've only
lunch that
been
we
like
had.
twice in my life, and my friends really liked it back in the day, and I was like, but why? Like,
I if I want to get horny, I can go watch porn online and jerk off. I'm not gonna go pay to get horny. No, fuck that.
but
Like,
when I was 18, that was a long time ago.
yeah, that
So
was a long
porn wasn't
time
as
ago.
easy, I don't think, back then. I don't remember
I
fucking
used to
that long
rent
ago.
porn at that back then, if we were being honest. So,
But
uh,
still, it's not one of
family
my
video, dude.
things.
Family video, right? We're right where. What do you call him from? Uh, Stranger Things goes into the back and does it. Oh, by the way, let's talk about that real quick because we have 2 episodes coming out. What on Friday?
What?
Maybe we do of the last 2 episodes. Or one of the new Stranger Thing episodes come out on Friday.
Oh, is it this
I
Friday
think.
already?
Yeah, I think we should do.
Woo!
I think we should do a little bonus episode for that one because it's not going to be a full episode.
A
I don't know.
boner episode?
Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
that's not
Um.
boner.
Okay. Before we go into spoilers, though, I want to talk about Ethan Hawke because Ethan Hawke is really, really good in this film. Ethan Hawke's always really good. I've never seen Ethan Hawke in anything, and like this guy's terrible.
I love that, he chooses his roles, obviously, but like he has the ability to turn down shit. And other people are
Yep.
like, "Please give me some work." But he's like, "No, I really wanted to do this role."
Yep.
And you can tell that he had his all in this because he was creepy as fuck. But then
Yeah.
also when he came down with the different masks and stuff, it started reminding me of like Split a little bit when he would come into
Yeah.
the room and he would kind of be acting
Yeah.
a little bit different. I was like, is
Yeah.
this like split personality type stuff or what is this, right? So it was
Yeah.
never explained. And honestly, I think that's what this movie does well is it doesn't over explain things as well.
Yep.
It's not like feeding it to you. It some of the stuff you kind of have to come up or figure out on your own. The rest is obviously,
Yeah.
you're going along with it with the
Yeah.
as fast as the fucking brother or the police are finding out type thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was good. That was
I
really
love
good,
it.
man.
I love his brother. I love his
Yeah.
brother. But yeah, he fucking kills it, man. And he's been creepy, like, cause he also was the bad guy in Moon Knight and was
Yeah.
fucking creepy on that too. Like that was more of a like a cult creepy guy. This is more of a this motherfucker is unhinged as shit. And like,
It reminded me of like Pennywise type vibes as well. They have that one scene where the kid is riding down the street in his
yeah.
raincoat on a bike, and it looks
Yeah.
so much
No,
like it.
it was the sister was doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's like, yeah. And she looked like Georgie. And it goes,
Yeah.
and you start going up the ladder and you're like, Joe Hill, Stephen King, Georgie, it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. And it's like, that was the most un-Denver rainstorm, by the way. I was laughing during that. I was like, Denver doesn't get like it was like that was like West Coast, like you live on a body of water. That was like the least Denver looking rainstorm I've ever seen. But I'm like I've seen rain like that a couple times since I've been here, but like that does not happen very often. Like it was like just that was like Seattle rain, man. But it made me giggle. Yeah, so Ethan Hawke kills
I love
it.
how
Like
that's the thing that takes you out of it. It's
it
like,
didn't take me out of it. I
well,
just giggled about it. Like
no, that would be my depiction of getting taken out of it for a second because
yeah,
you live there, you know the weather system, It's like when I watched Fargo the first season and I know which streets and what is behind them and the shot
Uh-huh.
reverse shot, I could not watch it because I live in that area and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not what's behind there. Ah, I know that's 3 blocks away. Fuck, it's fucking with my head. I can't. I'm so taken out of the show right now because I
Yeah.
know that's not what's behind
Yeah.
them. So like, yeah.
And that was the real only thing. I mean, because it's like the houses all look like my house was built a little bit after 78, but like all these like ranch style one like
Yeah.
floor houses of Colorado.
Bungalows.
Yeah, bungalow. Bungo cornholio. TP. Dude, Beavis
Oh
would have
yeah, we
died
do
from all
need
the drugs.
TP.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's right.
we need TP for our bungholes. Oh man. Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
I would
But
rewatch that seriously, like very soon too. I
yeah.
don't. It was too good, man.
Dude, comedies are the things I could rewatch like repeatedly. So yeah, that's definitely
So
something
what's
I
your
could.
password? Password? Oh, how original.
It just that kind of reminded me of Spaceballs, and
Yeah.
it's 0 1 2 3 4 or 1 2 3 4 or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, that's my password too." Yeah, it's just like you idiots, you idiots.
Or like
Oh,
hackers. God.
yeah. Oh man. Uh, what the fuck was See, I see James Ranson in here. He was Max. Who the fuck was Max in this? Oh, he was the brother. That you know what that makes me laugh. So the Max was the brother. Max was also the main character. And like he was in Sinister, and then he was in Sinister's 2, right? So he was like the
Right.
bumbling cop in 1 and 2. Did you see Sinister 2?
I don't. It wouldn't surprise me if I did, but I do not remember.
It's pretty forgettable. I liked it. It's fun, but it's pretty forgettable. Um, but it made 20 whatever $1 million, $24 million over the weekend, and dude, you go see it. Like this is the kind of movie that you go after the debacle that was Crimes of the Future Past, where it was like it got pulled out of cinemas real fast. And let's be real, Cronenberg doesn't
Crimes of the
exactly
future, you mean? Not futures past.
know. X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm completely sober. Oh no. Oh no. Yes. Crimes of the Future. I'm just melding
I still
movie
haven't
titles
watched it.
tonight.
Though that and Men are now accessible for us to watch if we want,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So I
I
really
hear
want to
Men
check
is
out
real
Men.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear Men is real weird. Real weird. And Nope isn't this week, right? It's next week from
I thought it was
Friday.
later, but I'm not sure.
I thought it was July, or is it like July 22nd? I don't know. We're gonna do that on the show here, but yeah.
I like that
Um,
we have stuff to look forward to and actually get us out to the theater because I want to go anyways, and that's like that was the main reason I started doing web series like stuff was I
yeah,
wanted to see movies and I wanted to talk about the new movies. So we
yeah,
went to the theaters every fucking week. And
yeah,
most of the time saw 2 movies every week back in the day because there
yeah,
was always movies coming out. It's harder for us to do that now because like there's full weeks or 2 weeks in a row where nothing comes out. Like
yeah,
a little like not in the summer, I don't think. I think there's something, but like, you know, even this year there
yeah,
was like after what? Like uh when Maverick came out or Top Gun 2, like
yeah.
there was nothing that came out like weeks after that. That's why it did
Yeah.
so well as well, right? Like
Well, Maverick came out, and then Crimes of the Future came out like the next weekend or something like that, and that was like Maverick made like $8 bajillion, and like
it's over a
nobody saw Crimes
bill.
of the
It's
Future.
over a
Yeah,
billion now. Like
yeah.
it's fucking
And that movie's great and deserves it,
destroying.
right? Yeah.
Good for them,
So
yeah.
go if you haven't seen this and you're listening to this or watching this, go see it. Go watch this movie. It's fucking dope. It's a fucking ride, man, and it does a lot too. Like what I like about Scott is he seems to keep things like he doesn't put too much like extra fat in his films, right? He like kind of keeps everything like in that film that like is really necessary. Like even with this film, which its first act is a little more disconnected from what the bad things, and it's more like a family drama. A lot of the first act, right? Um, but this film is dope and it's worth seeing. And
100%. Fucking see this movie.
Casey saw what my tweet about it afterwards, saying it was dope, and went and saw it. And she said she was like screaming in the theater.
Like, I told my mom what it was about, and she's like, "You're fucking sick. Why do you see those stupid movies?"
Because, Mom, I
I'm like,
learned it from you.
I'm like, do you see my arms, or that I'm like obsessed with horror? But that's not horror. That's just gross. And I'm like, yeah, that's still considered horror though. Like, so
It's not
you're
Human Centipede. I
yeah,
mean,
like
no
that's
poop
that's
going in the mouth.
shock. That's shock horror.
Yeah.
And that's body horror. That's like Crimes of the Future is body horror.
Yeah.
And I didn't when I read I was like, what? Crimes of the Future is body horror? What the fuck is body horror? And it's just like,
Cronenberg. Yeah, Cronenberg.
yeah,
Things like The Fly, Videodrome, all the
yeah,
things that that man has done that are like when you have like your tummy turning into a giant vagina that you're pulling guns out of, and whatever weird shit that Cronenberg scanners, people's heads
yeah.
are exploding. Everything that Cronenberg, like, you know what, body horror, just look at Cronenberg and you're good. I mean, fuck, Possessor by his son was fucking body horror, because, like, the whole premise is body horror. So okay, Josh, we both give it 2 mooses up, right?
Moose.
Let's go into moose.
Dude, there's
And
a moose hanging out around the city, like a baby moose, and it's being spotted fucking everywhere. It's all over my feeds. It's just the Fish Creek moose hanging out. I saw it that one day right before during a rainstorm. I was just biking. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, ringing my bell, like, get the fuck out of the way. There's like a crowd of people. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Oh shit, there's a moose. But I was getting wet, so I just kept going. I should have got a picture. I could have showed it.
the moose made you wet, Josh? I mean,
The moose made me so wet, Rod. So wet.
the clown dick noise. The clown dick noise. Go see it. So we're gonna spoilers. We're gonna spoilers. We're gonna spoilers talks. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Fuck you, Josh. Okay, let's go to spoilers. Okay.
Okay, it's
Okay, you win,
spoilers.
Josh. Okay. So first off, why I said we were talking about your poster. If you're listening to the audio version, he's got the mask with the phone on top of it and blood. Obviously, Finney beats the living shit out of him with a phone to kill him at the end of the movie, and then
I
he
think
snaps his
honestly, one of the trailers like shows him beating the shit out of him too, and I'm like, why would you show that in the trailer? That's third
didn't
act
watch it.
shit.
I didn't watch any of the trailers, but yeah, it's like,
Well, no,
except for that
even
first
just
scene.
on the IMDb page when I'm on it right now, that is the trailer that plays, and it shows Finn like beating him in the face,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are you showing that in the fucking trailer? That's third act shit.
Dude, the other thing about your poster that I really fucking like is the shadows, because of the kids on the phone that have that, like, they're like that. They're not quite shadows. They're kind of like translucent, like more like ghosty ghosts. But like,
No, but I feel like this
oh, Josh,
visual
a great-
storytelling wise, like that's what I try and do. Visual storytelling. It's conceptual,
Yeah.
but it's visual storytelling at a glance too. And
you,
the shadows
dude,
go
you
over the
yeah, you almost, dude. If you would have had 5 shadows, it would have. You were like one off from it being.
But
Like,
it wouldn't be as
perfect.
aesthetic.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm calling out what like would have been like, dude, that basement though, that whole basement is like, oh, you're like, oh, if I ever came into this basement, like, even if you didn't know what was happening, you're like, oh, this is a fucking murder hole, and
Yes.
everyone's gonna go to die in it. Dude, we talk about, like, when we're not spoiler, the whole thing that like they don't like automatically explain everything to you, and you kind of get pieces. So the reoccurring theme is that the mother of these 2 kids was touched. She's a fucking
Medium.
She's a medium. She's a like the people from Doctor Sleep. Like, she's one of them. Like, she has the powers. Like, it's that Stephen's King like universe where you have powers, basically. and the powers drove their mother to kill herself. And then the dad becomes a raging fucking alcoholic. And dude, we didn't talk about him as much. It's Jeremy Davies.
He did a really good job being someone that I fucking
Hateable.
hate.
Yeah, he's fucking like the first thing you see him, he's like passed out, and then he's like beating his daughters because she told some kid at school that so the daughter has these visions. They're not even visions, they're dreams, and like had some dreams about the grabber, Ethan Hawke, and the dreams there were these black balloons. And the problem was that she told some kid about this, and then like somehow it got to the cops, and they're like, the black balloons, they hadn't told anyone about this. And that's where it was like more of the Bob's Burgers and Linda becomes a psychic because of that. And so they're like, shit, you like this is like back in the time when people would like actually come in and like try to get cops. The cops would actually ask people for shit, like especially with crazy cases like this, where fucking
I loved that whole thing with the cops coming back to see the little girl, and like it reminded me of like Zodiac a little bit and stuff too, and like but it was good though.
Yeah. Well, dude, that and every single time you nailed it before, we're like the girl's like talking to God, and she's like, "What the fuck, God?" And but like
so good.
She has her own little like fucking like strategy, or like it's a ritual. It kind of seems like, right? She has to go into her fucking little dollhouse and get all her like crosses and Jesus things out in exact orders before she like, she goes, okay, I'm gonna like talk to God, because this is like in her. It seems like in her mind that this is all like like coming from God, right? Also, this bitch is, and I say bitch with the most respect in the world, because this old girl is fucking dope as shit, man. Like this, when there's these bullies messing with Finney, and what's his name, Robin, the little kid we were talking about earlier, who beats the ever living shit out of this kid at the beginning, because he's just a racist shit, and like calling him like a derogatory terms for Mexicans, right? And so he beats the ever living shit out of him, and that's the most uncomfortable, like one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the whole movie, because he's like, you're like, he's gonna kill this motherfucker. He is going to kill him, because he is. When you start punching someone in the face repeatedly, it's not hard to kill him. And you're just like, ugh. But like Robin protects Finney because they're friends, because like Finney is like this kind of quiet introverted kind of kid who gets called like, all these things by bullies because he's quiet and kind of introverted and kind of doesn't stand up for himself, even though he's tough. And Robin ends up being the fifth kid taken by the grabber. And as soon as he's taken and the bullies realize it, they go to kick the ever living shit out of Finney. And dude, this is where Gwen, the sister, hits one of those fucking kids in the head with a rock, and just like the blood starts pouring down his head. And I'm like, she just killed a motherfucker. And the best part about it is like when the ginger kid like hits her or pushes her over,
kicks her in the face.
Oh yeah, he kicks her. And she kind of like rolls back to the fence, and she's just sitting there next to the kid who she hit in the head with a fucking, like a softball sized rock. And they're just supposed to sit in there like fucking completely out of it, because they both probably had just got fucking concussions. Yeah. You're just like, oh, but like you just go, Gwen, you are a badass motherfucker, man. Like she's getting the fucking visions and like going off on like everyone, like, but man, that scene with her.
There's a tornado warning apparently right close to me. Whoop.
No, you're in the basement at least. Man, the scene where the dad is like spanking her because she was going off about her dreams is just heartbreaking. It's such a bad,
like that's what this movie does too well. That like it puts you in those very uncomfortable situations, but then it does it and turns up the volume of the thing that's going to make you uncomfortable, and then makes it last just a little bit longer than you want it to as well, to make you even more uncomfortable. And that's like it helps you really get into the shoes of that character and feel for them. And I think that's why the little girl or it almost makes you more empathetic for her character, and the fact that she was such a good fucking actor. It just
Yeah.
it helped that character along, and you really want her to succeed in what she's trying to succeed with,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? Like, she's trying to find her brother, and you really want her to do that because you feel for her in her
Yeah.
just terrible situation that she's in.
Yeah, she's in this family where the only person she basically has anymore is her brother. And when he gets taken, so this is how I take it. Like the first act is just like the family stuff, right? And kind of figuring out about the grabber. The second act is kind of like them, like him getting grabbed and like kind of figuring all this stuff out. And the third act is like him getting out and the cops finding him and all that stuff, right? It's kind of how I see it, like the three acts of this film. And that first act is just like it is just sad. Like the only levity you really get is like Gwen being the little smartass that she is, right? Um, but man, I also want to know what the fuck is Ethan Hawke doing that he's got like two houses like across from each other? Like
And a brother that can just live there for free and do a bunch of blow on his, like,
I
table,
do
like,
I do love that when the cops are going around to see like figure out what's going on and like just canvassing the neighborhoods because of the I think it was like the first kid got taken and they open the house and his brother answers the door and he's like he's got that giant board with all this stuff. He's trying to track his own brother, which is fucking hysterical. But and the
spoiler!
cops yeah, well, we're in the spoiler section, Josh. And the the cops like as he's going out, you better clean up there and he points to all the coke he left on the table.
He's just like, "Oh, you idiot." Oh, well, I might as well do it. Like,
You better clean it up.
yeah, fuck.
Oh man, I don't, dude. Sticking dollar bills or like American dollars up your nose just seems like a real bad point because like a lot of money in America has also been in stripper parts, right? Like I think there's like a thing that like most currency in this country has like you know human like DNA on it or some shit like that. It does got cocaine on it for sure, right? So, um, but man, the whole thing once Finney gets taken and is like in the basement, man, he fucks up the grabber though. He stabs him in the arm with that like NASA rocket he carries around that's like a pen slash like flashlight.
Flashlight. I love
And
that thing. I love when
yeah,
characters have something that is like a hero object or something that
yeah,
is used to help them in so many different ways, but also is so specific to that character that tells
yeah,
more of a backstory because of having it as well. Like, you
yeah.
don't see something that useful or that, like, I don't know, like, the attention to detail in this movie, it's all like stripped back and super minimalist. It's a room with nothing in it but a bed and a phone. But then you think about it, and every single thing that is there was there for a reason and
Yeah.
written for something else.
Yeah.
So it's like there's only 10 things, but all
Yeah.
10 things had a fucking reason to be there and to progress the story
Yeah.
along. And it's like it was done so well to for objects to actually have meaning and stuff. So
Well,
yeah, it's
they do a really good job of kind of like like showing light into these kids because like you this Denver was not a big a city back in the 70s, right? And so like you get these connections he had like the first kid that gets taken in the movie who was the fourth kid taken like they played a game of baseball together, right? And like he was like, "Oh, your arm is what clutch or whatever he
yeah,
says like the whole
yeah.
time." And
You almost had me.
yeah, you almost had me, and it's that thing that the that kid, man, like,
Oh no, your arm is mint.
yeah, your armor's mint. Him and the fucking and Robin, just that like hollow, sad tone they have on the phone the whole time, like,
Yeah.
it's just so good, but it's so sad at the same time because like these fucking 13-year-olds are just taken from their prime and like just taken out, including the dude, the other psychopath kid that was like the tough kid in town before Robin, who they fucked up his game of pinball, and he just starts
Oh, so
beating the
good.
shit out of. You know what he reminded me? He reminded me of the kid from Stranger Things, like
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
the older brother that dies in the second season. Um, but like they do such a good job of like conveying all this stuff, and it's like how everything's connected, and then like they save Robin for last because Robin was his friend. Like Finney helped him with math, and he kind of watched his back, and it was that thing where it was like you get this in not all that much time together on screen, and between that and the like the phone calls, you get this thing where you really see that these two kids cared about each other, and it's like they do so much with so little with that, and it means a lot because it just shows how this affects all these kids, right? Um, but man, his whole plan, like that he goes out with it, and you start thinking it's like this series of like failed attempts to escape, but really what it is like it's like mounting up a bunch of things to enable Finney to get out at the end or to fight back, and
It's
so
satisfying. That's what
yeah,
I like the overarching thing of this movie. It's like even if it wasn't as horrific or scary or horror-esque as I potentially thought or wanted it to be,
yeah,
it turned out to be like a fun like ride and
yeah.
satisfying in the end for sure.
And by the way, though, when you say not as horrifying, but this movie is scaring the shit out of people who I don't know if they're as big of horror fanatics. Like people are like
Because
fucking
I think it's
horrified of it.
accessible.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really it's fucked up, and it's got that thing where like, yeah, you have you're terrified for these characters, right? Um, I the whole thing where the grabber wants to play this game, and that's the thing about the grabber that you kind of learn as you're watching it. He kind of
He has
reminded me of like
rules.
he has rule. Yeah, he's like very he's like very childlike, right? He's very like he's got these sense of things where he has to do things very like it's OCD, right? Like he is his killing has this very like
Ritualistic.
ritualistic approach, and because the kids on the phone who are talking to him, they tell him not to go upstairs when he's up there. It fucks up his entire game, and it fucks up like his ritual, and like they talk about them they're just gonna he's gonna kill you because you're not following his ritual, and it does such a good job of like him like it almost feels like a prison escape movie kind of like at times, right? Like it's like you're like Prison Break or anything like that where you're
Shawshank
digging,
Redemption.
yeah, Shawshank, you're like digging holes, you're doing all these things, and you're just like, yeah, because they all those events like lead into another, and then when the final plan finally happens, where he's got the cable from the wall when the kid saved him, and he's got the hole dug in the wall exactly where the other kid told him, and he's
Oh,
got the and
when
he
the
gets
fucking dog comes out, man, like I
that is
hate big dogs. Like they
I love
terrify the shit out of me.
I love that dog. It's a huge mastiff. Like it's a huge mastiff, a black mastiff with these big cropped ears, and who I bet you is the sweetest dog in the world because like I've never met a mean big dog. Every single mean big dog I've ever met has been like ginormous and sweet. Um,
A lady in Calgary just got mauled by 3 dogs to death the other week. Yeah,
aren't they all Chihuahuas? I assume they were Chihuahuas, right?
big dog. But
Uh,
that's the owner should be put down.
yeah, yeah. You fucked up, and you started having to go. Did these people fucking were they training them to kill people?
I like
They-
what the fuck?
Yeah. The whole plan, dude. I think the most satisfying part of this whole movie is when he Robin teaches him how to do how to like hit him with the phone. And dude, that was another thing I cringed at when he's chasing him and he fucking falls in that hole and his ankle cracks.
Yeah.
It's just like another. It's like when bone pops like that. It's like, yeah, like it's like
I've
'cause
told
it's that.
you my horrifying
the arm thing,
story. Why?
the
Yeah.
arm thing.
Ugh.
And you're just like, ugh. And then he beats the shit out of him, and then he fucking goes, "Oh, I'm gonna," and he fucking wraps the phone around his neck and just goes, and he's like, it's so badass when he fucking puts the phone up by his ear so he
For
can
you,
hear the
bitch.
fucking kill. Yeah, it's just like I
It's
cheered, man.
satisfaction. Yeah, it's satisfying. You're like, yay!
You get to hear the shit that you fucking because that's the thing, right? The only kids that heard this phone was Finney, out of all, but they make a point to tell you that fucking the grabber hears it too. Like there's some kind of he's got some of
Mhm.
this same like
Yeah.
light like Finney and his sister have, and that it's so satisfying when he hears them, and then Finney fucking snaps his neck, and you're like, yes, that
Yes.
that
You're
whole that
like,
whole fucking
yeah.
that whole end of the movie where like the brother finds the basement, comes down, and then Ethan Hawke is just like,
Fuck
"Axe
you,
to the head."
dumbass.
Dude, there was so much of The Shining in this movie, like
Oh, I
Shining,
know.
and like, and it's just like puts that axe in the back of his own brother's head, and then I like how he's
He
like,
was an idiot, but he was
Yeah.
my idiot.
"You made me kill him," and it's like, I don't know
I don't know about
no one made
that.
you do anything there, buddy. And then while that's happening, and like he's like taking care of him, like the sister is taking the cops to their house because she saw visions of this house, and it's just like it's so like it rises like the tension keeps going throughout like the second and third act of this because you're like and like you're like terrified because you have Gwen like trying to like get the dreams and figure out where the hell this is happening, and you got Finney trying to get like this planet, and it goes together so well at the end, and it all feels believable, even though it's like you kind of have to have like a series of events like happen perfectly, but man, it's just so satisfying, like you said, and it does so well, and this movie is just it it just Scott Derickson being good at it, his craft, man. Like it's just Scott Derickson going, this motherfucker knows how to make horror, and I feel like maybe working with
Some
Marvel
people
kinda
get it
yeah,
more than others, though. Like,
yeah. I
for
feel
real.
like I feel like him working with Marvel taught him some things about like the like mass market kind of thing, right? Like cuz this movie feels as mass markety as horror as you get, but like without going down with the quality. Like this isn't
It
like
feels studio for sure, and in a
yeah,
good way, though. Like,
yeah,
where everything that I don't know, like James Wan, as soon as he was able to cross that line from indie to studio filmmaker, he's like, I don't have limitations anymore. Like, I
yeah,
get to, you know, build what I need if I need it and have the ability to have lighting wherever I want. And that's why his movies look as good as they
yeah.
do. And this one felt as, yeah, like you're saying, it just felt
Yeah.
a little bit bigger and more
And
polished.
but it also is this movie wasn't expensive. This probably cost $10 million to make. It wasn't very big. Like that's why they were super happy with $24 million opening weekend. That's a lot for that. Like they crossed over into profit, it sounds like. And that's fucking dope, dude. That's why I said go see this movie if you haven't seen it, because it fucking you get these big horror hits and it just keeps Hollywood making these like budget big like small medium budgeted horror movies that are like cool. We don't need anything more than that fucking pumping money into horror is usually a bad thing, man. Like
No
unless you do things like
way. I feel like
I
elevated horror and horror in general, like it's
but none of,
I
but
feel
neither
like
one of those I say neither
Parasite
one,
winning Best Picture too, like that could still be considered horror-esque.
but I mean what I'm more saying is you putting $60 million into a horror
Oh
movie
yeah,
making
don't do
it.
that.
That's what I meant. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Malignant Malignant was $60 million and probably didn't make very much at all because it wasn't really in theaters, and then it was on HBO Max, right? Like that was a pandemic thing. And I still
Right.
love the shit out of that movie. Because it's a B movie that embraces it. James Wan knew what he was fucking doing. But this movie just
But
shows
it's also even if it was gonna lose money regardless, because Warner Brothers owes so much to
yeah,
James Wan, they said, yes, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can have whatever budget you want. Just
yeah,
fucking stay with Warner
yeah.
Brothers, please, because you're our golden child.
I think like the only special effects in Black Phone were really the ghost kids, right? Like really, it wasn't
Yeah, like the
like some act-
floating thing and
yeah,
stuff.
and that's like probably just had those kids there and were just using them like whatever and using whatever. But man, this is just such a good little movie, man. And I say little because it is a little. It's like a little scope of little Denver, like at the time, and just fucking such a good movie, man. It was so much fun and so well done, and just you go, man,
Yeah,
these
it
motherfuckers.
it held up on the weekend, man. Opens for like domestic over 10 million. Only drops 26% for Saturday and only drops 22% on Sunday. So 10, 7.5, and then 5.8. Wow. Those are good
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah, yeah. It's like 23 million. It was. I
Even
thought I
on
was hearing.
Monday, it made 3 mil. Like,
Yeah, on a Monday, it's like, yeah, dude.
well,
That's
it is
it's
summer now. It's start of summer. So, like, that makes sense.
yeah. High
Worldwide, it
school.
made almost 40 million, man.
That's so cool, man. And I'm so glad. Scott Derickson is a dope motherfucker, man. And I'm he's one of those guys I wish we could have gotten. My connection with him is no longer around, unfortunately. But like, he seems like a really cool dude, and I love his passion for the industry because how many motherfuckers walk away from a Marvel movie? Like, you know how much money he's making, and he would have done awesome with Doctor Strange too. But like, he was like, I want to do something. Like, he wanted to go back to R-rated horror, and like, he went and did this, and it's fucking dope. And it's funny because I
It's
think
really cool
this is
that Sam Raimi got to do that, though.
yeah,
Like, it was a perfect,
yeah.
it
Oh, he was
wasn't, it was hardly a Sam Raimi movie, but the times that it did feel like a Sam Raimi movie, it really felt like a Sam Raimi movie.
especially the third act. Yeah, it
Yeah, you
really
could
went.
really tell
Yeah,
when because you don't get a say, an overarching say
yeah,
in a Marvel movie. They all feel the fucking same, and they
yeah,
all are wrapped in that Marvel box.
yeah,
And then there's little peaks and valleys that you get to be yourself. And Edgar Wright was like, "Go fuck yourself. I make
yeah,
Edgar Wright movies," and they're like,
yeah.
"Well, bye."
Yeah. And then that movie still felt like an Edgar Wright movie. You felt like that parts of it, right? So,
He
man, I'm
elevated it to where it was for sure.
I mean, there's a reason why his name was still on everything as a producer, right? So,
Yep.
is there anything else? I mean, dude, this movie is a ton of fun, and I want it to keep doing awesome, and I'm just happy that this did as well as it did. And man, this fucking movie is dope. It's really cool. So,
You're
man,
really cool.
you're really cool. My
No,
famous,
Rod,
my
you're
famous
really
friend
cool.
Josh. My famous friend Josh, and like taking over the world. He's gonna be Creepy Duck 2.0, and he's Canadian. Canadian Duck, Canadian Creepy Maple
Creepy
Leaf
Moose.
syrup.
Maple
Creepy Moose.
Moose.
There you go. Maple Moose. Maple Moose. Murder Moose. Murder Moose. Murder Moose. Okay,
No,
I don't
I'm
know what.
DJ Josh WRB now.
Yeah, you were DJ Josh WRB. Um, I don't think we should call what we're doing yet, but if we don't like have something come up, like
Dude,
because
there is because I was looking at like some lists of like the top rated movies, and there's that one that's on like the top rated whatever called Innocence or something. I don't know what it's about, but it's like a whole bunch of kids in it, and it's that
I,
poster of the girl that's like upside down on the swing set or whatever.
I didn't see that one. That Crimes of Future I would be interested in. Men I would be interested in.
Yeah,
We'll
so
talk
there's
about it.
3,
Yeah, at
but it's
least.
got 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, The Innocence.
Nice.
It's foreign too, so that could
We
fit
go back to
into.
I really, really do want to see Crimes of the Future. But we'll figure it out because Jerry had shown interest in coming to talk to. Jerry's life is very complicated right now, and I love that man. So Jerry, keep kicking ass if you listen to this because you're
Mine is
fucking dope.
very complicated too, like
Yeah, yeah,
insanely. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
I found a way, man. Found
Found
my
a way.
way. Right, what's in front of me right now
Are you
is
stroking
fucking
a giant-
awesome.
Are you stroking a giant cock? Are you stroking? You gotta grip that cock. You gotta grip it.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of shit on either side of me or behind me that's kind of shitty. But unless it's in front of me, I don't have to worry about it, right? So that's what I'm doing.
It just reminded me of a scene from the Hero Gasm where Mother's Milk opens a door and just gets covered in semen, and gets covered in semen, all the semen. Yeah, so we'll check out what we're gonna watch next week.
Clown Dick is back.
Yep. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Clown Dick.
Okay. We are murdermoose.com. We have Murder Moose Pod on Twitter. We have our YouTube Murder Moose. You can Google or YouTube search us because we don't have a URL. We need 62 more followers on YouTube to get a URL. So
Fucking follow us. What the shit?
follow us if you're listening to this. You don't even have to watch on YouTube. Just follow us there. And then we could have youtube.com something Murder Moose. Rod_Johnston on Twitter and Twitch. Come hang out in my streams. Josh WRB on Twitter and Twitch. Come hang out in his pants. Josh hasn't been streaming like he was before, but he'll be back. There will be more Josh WRB.
Yeah, you know, I'm in between a few things. I'm still making posters, just behind the scenes posters now.
Yep. Okay. Well, Josh, I love your face, you fucking beautiful man, you. And I'm glad the shit that's going well for you is because you fucking earned it, you beautiful bitch. I love you. And Murder Moose. Woo! Okay. We'll see you motherfuckers next week. I love you. And
Love you. Bye. It always ends with the fart.
always.